Welcome to Celebrating Right. I'm Selena Wright, and I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about my fertility journey. I decided to make this video, and I know it's a little bit retrospective, because I think it's important that we, as a community, just talk openly about some of the concerns, some of the things that we've gone through. And I have to be honest, when I was going through it, it was so tough. And it's still tough even now to talk about it. But I think it's unfair for me to hold on to what I know when I know I relied on a lot of YouTubers to help me get through what I've been through. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about in vitro fertilization, IVF, and what I wanted to do today was just tell you guys how I even got to the point of deciding to go to a reproductive endocrinologist. So my husband and I, we got married in 2018, and literally right after we, were not using any protection, and it just took a while, and we were just trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And I, at the time, was I guess 30. I know you know my age, right? I was 30 37. Yes, I think I was 37. Yes, 37. So 37, and this is about fertility, so there's some things here that are a little bit TMI, but my folks who are TTC community, I don't think there's really anything that's really TMI. So, I had an IUD, and so we took that out like right before we got married, and had been trying for a while. So 2018 comes. No, 2018 is when I got married. 2019 comes, and there was a moment where we were pregnant. It was May 15. I took some notes. So May 15, 2019, we got a faint line, and it was kind of interesting because TTC folks know that we chart everything, right? So we're like looking at apps to see when our ovulation window is. And that's exactly what I did. I used the iPeriod app as well as the Fitbit app to track my ovulation windows every month. I used the Clear Blue ovulation stick. I mean, I was literally driving me and my husband crazy, trying to track everything. And intimacy, it kind of sucks because we're newlyweds, and intimacy kind of like wanes when you're trying to time your intercourse. So that whole experience just wasn't like a pleasant experience trying to time everything. So anyway, so May 15th, my daughter has an extracurricular activity, and I was like, something's a little bit off. I thought I had some implantation spotting possibly, a few days before. And I was like, we pee on a stick anyway all the time. So I was like, this time feels different. So I did that. While she was in her session, I ran to the Walmart, and I got, of course, first response, the most sensitive that you can get. And there was a faint line, but actually it came up pretty quickly. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe that spotting was actually, implantation bleeding. And I was super excited, and, even emailed my doctor and was like, hey, I need to, get a pregnancy confirmation appointment because we're pregnant. And then, it just didn't feel right. Something felt a little bit off. And a couple days later, I tested again, and the line was fainter, actually, it was a couple days later. And I was just like, oh, this doesn't feel good. And I just remember like just praying and trying to just be at peace, hoping that things would turn around. But then it just didn't. And I remember that because that was like midweek, and I had to travel for work from the DC area over to Cleveland um, during a time where, I got my, I guess, period or whatever. So it was just like I didn't have, well, I guess it was okay to have some moments to myself because, when you're traveling, you're like in your hotel room when but it just wasn't like I had family or anything around. And so at that point, that's when I was like, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. Like I said, I was at that time 38. And I was like, they always tell you about advanced maternal age, which is, there's reality to that. And it, like I said, the intimacy wasn't even fun anymore because of like, the excitement was waning because, the timing of everything and trying to make a baby. So that's when we made the decision to speak to a reproductive endocrinologist at one of the very popular fertility treatment centers on the East Coast. I think it's probably around the US, but definitely on the East Coast. And so we made our consultation on, I want to give you guys some timing windows too. So we had our consultation on June 3rd. And we had our a frozen embryo transfer. I wish I would have written that date down, but it was definitely early November. So it was like July, August, September, October, November. So like literally that whole process from committing to meeting with an RE to getting the frozen embryo transfer was 5 months long. So just, keep that in mind if you guys are trying to time and just understand what that process is of going through IVF, one round. So we went to the consultation. We liked our doctor. He seemed very he listened. He seemed, easy to talk to. And I looked him up, of course, on the website, and I got, folks were really happy with him. So we went with him. And we were actually traveling a couple weeks later because our anniversary is in June, and we were traveling at that time. And so we knew that we would make a final decision in July timeframe and start the process there. And so we, committed with that company and, had fun in the islands. We went to, at that time, we went to Barbados. It was last year. And we had a great time there. And came back and told the reproductive endocrinologist that we wanted to move forward. And the first step that they asked us to do was like lab work. So in early July, we started lab work. And it's your basic, screenings just for like, your HIV, your, what else is it? Vitamins, your, just making sure you're clear, right? They want to make sure everything looks good. So, and they also look at your AMH, your anti-Müllerian hormone, and that's just a blood test. And I think I would recommend for anyone who is wondering or having concerns about what's going on, I think your OBGYN can probably request that, and that can give you a good indication of your egg reserves. So you can kind of like just start looking at maybe what some of the concerns may be with fertility. So we did all of that lab stuff. Hubby did his lab. Listen, the experience for IVF for men is nothing compared to the experience of IVF for the woman. He literally had to give a sample in a cup and call it a day. Like literally that's all he had to do. So that was he did his part. And of course labs, he did labs too. I did my part. My AMH, the average range is 0.9 to 9.5 ng/ml. Mine was higher. It was 13 ng/ml, which just shows I have a lot of egg reserve, but it also can indicate when you have a higher AMH that you could be, you could have polycystic ovarian syndrome. I was never diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome at all, but I did later find out the implications for having the large egg reserves, because remember, we're looking at for eggs quality, not quantity necessarily, right? So so that is, I'll tell you guys more about all of the different labs in a future video that are required. I also plan on doing a video about cost for IVF and just things that maybe maybe that little bit of the the intangibles that come with going through the IVF process. On the emotional side, it definitely was an experience. We'll talk to you guys soon.